All right, what's good, traders? Jordan the Maestro here. We're back again with another video, and today we're going to get into part two of supply and demand. All right, so in part one, we talked about just in general what supply and demand is and how to use supply and demand and implement that in your strategy, and how it's already implemented in pretty much every strategy already. Now, today, let's take a different approach on how we can take advantage of supply and demand setups in the market, especially scalpers. Scalpers like to take advantage of supply and demand in this way. Okay. Now, throughout the video, you might hear me say supply and demand or support and resistance. And really, we're saying the same thing. But when we say supply and demand, we're talking about really the behavior of buyers and sellers in the market, right? When we talk about support and resistance, we're talking about the actual chart pattern that is going on, right? When we're looking at price getting to an area of resistance, we're looking at an area where the candlesticks are unable to break beyond in terms of the buy side, right? Whereas the opposite on the seller side, we're looking at an area, a type of floor, right, where the candles are unable to break below. Okay, so support and resistance, supply and demand, they can be used interchangeably, but just to make sure everybody's clear on that. Okay, so we're on EA, Euro, Australian dollar, and we're gonna talk about how we can use supply and demand and really take advantage of opportunities in the market. So the first thing I want to do is draw my support and resistance areas. Okay, so I'm going to draw my support and resistance areas. All right, so there's an area of resistance right over here. And let's draw an area of support as well, right around here, right around here. Okay. So we have price within this range. Okay, price is trading within this range. But let's just say I want to use supply and demand to trade it as a breakout trader. Now, as price is breaking out of this zone, whether it be on the buy side or on the sell side, what I want it to do is just give me a retest of the zone before I take my sell. Okay, so if I'm a scalper, for instance, what I'm looking for is the break of the zone, right? So we see over here on the sell side, we have a solid candle that closed below the area of support. And then I want to see the retest of that zone. But as I'm seeing this in the live market, I want to drill down to the lower time frame. So what we're going to do is go down to the 15-minute and see if there was an opportunity for us to enter this trade after a retest. All right. So let's take a look at this area over here. Zoom in a bit. All right, so in this area over here, as I'm watching this on the 15-minute, so I get my break of support over here. And then watch as the candles retest this area. They retest the area twice, right? Buyers retest the area twice. The next thing I want to do is enter my sell trade right at the retest area. And then I want to write it down for a couple pips. Now, being that I'm a scalper, I just want 10, 20, 30 pips. And if I take my trade, if I'm following this strategy and I take my trade where I'm supposed to, then I'm definitely going to get that. Okay. So over here, you can easily capitalize on a 36 pip move. Okay. And this is one of the ways you can easily capitalize on a support and resistance breakout move. Okay, now let's go through another example. All right, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to keep extending my area of resistance here. All right, keep extending those areas of resistance. And I'm also going to keep extending the area of support. One thing to note, even when price breaks through an area of support or an area of resistance, in the future, it could still become a solid area where price tends to struggle. It could still stand in the future, even after price has shown that it's broken it before. Okay, so that goes either way. So take note of that and make sure you're mindful of that. Okay, but as we are here, as we get back into this zone over here, we get right back into the zone over here. And again, it breaks this area of resistance and it's in a free fall. Here, we may not have gotten an opportunity to get in for the retest. Okay, but what happens right after that? We see that price comes right back to this area. And what I want to look for, okay, especially when price breaks past a zone. Okay, one thing we know, when price breaks past a zone, so a lot of times the zone will flip, right? So if it was support, it can easily become a type of resistance. If it was resistance, it could easily become a type of support. Okay, so over here you get your drop, and then price comes and retests the area, but is not able to break through the area again. Okay, so again, another opportunity you have to take a sell trade in the market, and you could scalp that and capitalize on a couple of pips. Okay, now as we break the zone completely and we find ourselves in another area, now let's see if there's more opportunities for support and resistance. Okay, all right, so let's find another area in the chart and let's see if there are areas of support and resistance that show themselves pretty clearly. Let's take a look. All right, so this area over here, let's take a look at this area over here, and we're going to draw our area of support, our area of resistance right across. Okay, and then we're going to take a look at different opportunities that the market gave us, and let's draw an area of and let's draw a support down here. Okay, so we have a resistance up there, and let's draw a support down here. Let's stop it right here for a second. Okay, so over here we have price ranging, so price is in a range, and what we're looking at is price gets ready to break on the downside. So we have price here breaking on the downside and breaking aggressively as well. But even when price breaks aggressively, you don't want to just jump into that trade. Oftentimes what happens and what you have to watch out for is price can give you a big wick downwards. But if you don't allow that candle to close, believe it or not, it can actually close right back within that range. And that's technically not a solid break. Okay, so it is very important that you allow that candle to break. And sometimes it's not a bad thing. It's not so much a bad thing to watch that on the 30-minute. Okay, so if you allow the candle to break on the 1 hour or even the 30-minute, I wouldn't go as far as the 30-minute, but let it break beyond the zone on those time frames, 30-minute, 1 hour, and then you're looking for the retest now on a lower time frame, like the 15-minute. Okay, so now let's mark off this area. So we see that price had broke. Let's see how we can catch this on the 15-minute for the retest. All right, so now we're on the 15-minute, and now take a look here. Okay, so a lot of people would say this is technically not a retest, but here's the thing: when you're a scalper, a lot of times you're not necessarily always looking for that typical retest pattern. And I'm sure if you jump to the 5-minute, it'll give you some type of retest pattern. Sometimes a candlestick or a couple candlesticks in themselves could serve as a retest. Okay, especially if you're just implementing a supply and demand breakout strategy, right? So a lot of traders, what they'll do is they'll just want to see a candle coming up on the opposite side, right? And retest the area. And then from then on, they feel like they're good to go to take that sell. And then again, as a scalper, if you're just looking for 10, 20, 30 pips, you take that sell at that area and you definitely get you take that sell at that area and then you definitely get your 30 pips, your 20 to 30 pips. Okay. So it depends how you want to map out your confirmations. There are different ways of doing confirmations. Personally, the most solid confirmation to me is a proper retest. Okay, so something that looks like this up here. Okay, so if we add a zone, let's just imagine this is breaking out of a zone. What I'd like to see is more of a proper retest, okay, towards the zone, like this, a couple candlesticks up, and then we ride back down. That's what I like to see. But there are also other ways of doing it, especially if you're catching a small amount of pips and the move is aggressive, you're seeing volume in the market, okay? It's okay to allow that candle to close, allow a couple candles to retest, just a couple candles, and then we can ride that candle for 10, 20 pips. That's completely normal. That's completely fine. Okay. It just depends on what goes with your strategy best. Okay. So as you're going through these in the market, one of the main things you want to keep doing is, notice what I'm doing. I'm always extending my area of support and resistance. Even when those areas are broken, I keep extending them because they may come in handy in the future. That's the key element here. So you don't want to just completely erase your areas of support and resistance because they got broken. In the future, you'll see that these areas still serve as solid areas where price will struggle. Okay, so let's go zoom out back into the 1 hour and take a look at how these areas could still come in handy. Okay, now I'm going to extend my area of support. Let's extend it all the way across, right? And take a look at how this area stayed solid, even when it was broken through multiple times, but it came to serve as another area of support, resistance, etc. Okay, so now you have price coming right back to this area, and this is great. This is beautiful. So price comes back to this area over here. Okay, and as it's breaking into this area, this is a strong confirmation. Okay, very strong confirmation. Price comes back to a previous zone, right? Support resistance zone. And notice you already have the proof. You have the past data. You extended that area across. So you're basically saying, I have the past data that you tend to respect this area, right? So if I have a break, usually we have a breakout, but imagine I have a break in now, right? On the buy side, I have a break in to this area, back to this area. On the retest, I have even more confirmation that I'm going to keep on going up. This is more confirmation that I'm going to keep on going up because you have already showed me in the past, right, that in this zone, this has already served as an area of support before multiple times. So as you break into this area and you come retest this area as an area of support, I confidently can take this trade. And typically this is one of the trades that it's easy to let ride to the next zone. Why? Because you come back between the area where price usually ranged between. Very easy to take this trade from zone to zone. Okay, so if I'm taking this trade, if I understand what's going on here and price breaks right back into the zone, I would love to take this trade from the bottom of the zone after the retest and go all the way back to the top of the zone, which is about 50 pips. Okay, easy move, simple move. And this is what you could take advantage of in terms of not only a breakout strategy, but even breaking in back to the zone. You could also take advantage of that as well. Okay, so I want you to identify these areas in the market, okay, because they're going to keep repeating themselves. Do not. What you don't want to do is cut your zone short just because of this little breakout here. Okay, just because it broke this area of support, we tend to think this area of support doesn't matter anymore. That is not true at all. This area can very well come back into play, but you do have to pay attention to it. You don't want to have too many areas all over your chart, but you want to specify on the areas, especially where price is currently at. You want to see if there were previous areas that come back to show themselves again. Okay, so support and resistance, breakout strategy, break-in strategy. The main thing is I want to see some type of retest. Now, depending on how you want to trade and how you want to use your confirmations, is the retest going to be a couple candlesticks, or is the retest going to be just a single touch, a single opposite candlestick, and then I'm going to ride all the way down? That's completely up to you. But just understand that the safer route is giving it a proper retest and then you ride it all the way down. Okay. So no matter what it is, no matter what strategy you're using, more than likely you're going to use support and resistance at some point. Okay. Support and resistance is not going to go anywhere. You're always going to use support and resistance, and it's going to come in handy in your trading. Okay. So over here, this is the last example we'll go through. Over here, we have an area of support that if you extended it across, you'll see how it then became an area of resistance. Okay. All right. Let me make that a little smaller. All right. So we have an area of support that quickly became an area of resistance. Okay. So over here, one sec, over here, where there may not have been an opportunity to scalp in this area, okay, because we didn't get a retest. If we're following our strategy, we didn't necessarily get a retest, but once price broke through, properly broke through over here, we definitely got our retest. We definitely got our retest over here, okay? So price came down, broke through the area, gives us a couple candlesticks confirmation, retested the area, and then came down. And guess what? When price comes back to that area, that's another retest of the area, you could ride that back down. And then price comes right back to that area, and then you could ride that back down. And then one more time, it gives you a smaller retest, doesn't touch the area, but price finally drops. All right. But the point is, this previous area of support easily became an area of resistance where your breakout was easily validated from the retest. And then the point is, this previous area of support became resistance, so you were able to use your breakout strategy as it retested the previous support and made it a resistance for itself. Okay, so that's what we are looking for when we're looking at simple breakout strategies for support and resistance. Now, there are many strategies out there, but I'll tell you this. If you could be disciplined enough to follow the rules of the strategy, this in itself is enough to be profitable. If you follow the rules of the strategy, right, and you don't try not to deviate from it too much and try not to break your rules or just jump into the trade just because you see a whole bunch of volume in the market. Look, if the market just drops on you, does not give you a retest, move on, let it go. If the market just takes off on the buy side, doesn't give you a retest, move on. But your confirmations, you need that retest, right? You need that retest, and keep that in your trading rules so that each time you implement that, you have confirmation that the move is going to continue going your direction, okay? So if you master the skill of understanding support and resistance and how previous support and resistance can come back into play, and how where previous support can turn into resistance or previous resistance can turn into support, once you start manipulating that on the chart and really understanding and dissecting that really clearly, you have more than enough to be a profitable trader. All right, guys. So I hope this information was useful to you. All right. Let me know if you want more videos on support and resistance, or you just want me to just mark up more charts and show you what I see regarding support and resistance and how I would play it out, whether it be a breakout strategy or any kind of strategy that you could see. But the point is, guys, add this to your tool belt. Proper understanding of support and resistance is going to lead to massive results. All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll continue to show you these tips and how to be marking up and looking at these charts, but you do your due diligence. You practice, and keep working until you get there. All right, traders, till next time, Jordan the Maestro, take care.